You know, as high achievers, we have this thing and this connectedness with having a blueprint, having instructions that we can follow, something that is going to guarantee that on the other side we'll get a yay, you did good. Oh my gosh, you completed it, you accomplished it. And I believe that's one of the reasons why high achieving Christians struggle so often with anxiety. But I believe that once you get over this one belief that I got over, it will help you tremendously in stepping out of this idea that everything has to be right or perfect in order for it to be good. Welcome. Come on in. Come on in, Mother Hen. I think this episode is going to be like a little chit chat type of vibe. I've been thinking a lot about this concept of being right and perfect, how it gets in the way of a lot of things in marriage and motherhood. When you and I have a blueprint, we understand the different things that we need to check off. It makes us feel secure. Like, I know I'm doing the right thing. I have a path to follow. I got some steps to take. But when you get married, I don't care how many premarital classes or counseling you've done. I don't care how many even good mentors that you have around you that have been talking to you about marriage and whatnot. I don't care how many podcasts, how many books, how many news articles, how many blog posts. Who read news? You read news articles? Anyways, how much you're doing any of that. When you get in the heat of marriage and you don't have the blueprint, how to exactly do X, Y, and Z, so it guarantees that you are still connected to your husband. So it guarantees that he won't get upset with you when you express your opinion. We don't have that. It doesn't exist. In the same way with motherhood, it can be so triggering because, Coach, what am I supposed to do? There is no blueprint. There is no, if you have this type of baby on this particular day at this particular hour, these are the steps in the past that you need to do specifically for their personality and their temperament. And this is going to help them have the most perfect future they can ever have. When we don't have that, you and I, it leaves so much to guess. It leaves so much risk to take. And though we are risky in putting ourselves out there, chasing after our dreams and our goals and having ambition about the things that we do, when it comes to risk with our emotions and people we love and the connections that we love, it can feel scary. It can feel a little bit out of the norm. Like, hold on. You know, I got the rubric over here, but Coach, I don't want to touch this arena in my life. My husband and kids are a little off guard when it comes to taking risk. When you've experienced parents that have, been emotionally immature in your childhood and their reaction to your behavior and how they parented you, there's this belief that there are no risks allowed. And perfectionism and anxiety guarantees, in huge quotations, okay? It guarantees that you don't have to face that same thing again. You don't have to face rejection or abandonment, criticism or judgment again if you follow these particular rules. Well, what you find out is with each conflict, disagreement within your marriage, and you're like, no, I'm trying to follow the perfect rubric. Somebody said I need to do X, Y, and Z, or I have this experience that when I actually said how I felt, it turned around and hit me in the face. It got me in more trouble. So you know what? In my marriage, I got it. Perfectionism and anxiety gave me the rubric. Don't do it. Don't do it. But then what happens? You find yourself stuck and in a stale place within your marriage because what you thought might work, what anxiety and perfectionism has taught you will work, is not working. So there is a level of risk that needs to happen. Risk in the sense of, I'm going to share with you what I feel, what I need, what's not working, what is working, what used to work, and how can we get back to it. That's risky. It is risky to be vulnerable and to be soft and to allow yourself to be told no, to allow yourself to be rejected, to allow yourself to be disagreed with. That's risky, and you don't like risk. In the same token, when it comes to your kids, again, trying to find that blueprint, that roadmap that is going to do exactly what we needed to do, exactly when we needed to do it, so that our kids can have a good childhood, right? And sometimes not taking risks in motherhood is trying to make sure your kids get the lesson and they learn not to do a specific behavior right then and there. Because if you let it slide, if it gets past this one particular moment, they're going to grow up and they're going to be street youths. Okay? They're going to be out here doing things they ain't supposed to be. They're not going to be following the Lord and walking with him. They're going to be married to some people that you don't want them to be married to. They're going to be doing all these things. And you're just going to be like, oh my gosh, I messed up. So we need to get this right. We need to hurry up and get this lesson. We need to hurry up and teach them this X, Y, and Z. I believe that that's a lot of what caused our parents, the generation before us, to think about, kids should only be seen, not heard, right? And you see a behavior, you need to nip that in the bud. You don't want to be raising spoiled kids. Because maybe they had this idea that if you don't get it right now in this moment, you never will. Rush, that feeling of this present moment is going to escape, and in the future it's going to be catastrophic. It is a risk to be patient with your children. It is a risk to slow down and respond to your kids when they are doing things that you're like, we can't keep this up. Come on. We got to learn this. We got to learn our manners. We have to learn how to transition from one thing to the other without throwing a fit. We need to learn how to stop saying no. We need to learn how to listen, right? Right now. When that expectation is there, anxiety and mom rage enter into the picture. It is risky to manage yourself and have that self-control when everything within you is yelling, no, this ain't right. This is not the path. It don't feel good. It's risky to sit with that. Such a therapist thing to say, sit with that. That's risky. And it's why a lot of people don't do it. But you're not like a lot of people. I want to extend this to you. It's something that I tell myself a lot of the time that helps me. When I'm in a bit of a funk, when I find myself overthinking, when I'm faced with a decision that feels too big for me to handle and everything in me wants to retreat, or everything in me wants to find the perfect path, right? The perfect way to have a conversation with my husband, the perfect way to respond to my kids in the moment. Here's what I say to myself, and I encourage you to say to yourself, I can't get this wrong. I cannot get this wrong. When you allow yourself to take risk in your marriage, to take risks when it comes to parenting, to take risks within your thoughts and your own behavior, even outside a wife and a mom. And you say, I can't get this wrong. It frees you up from the need to be perfect in order to protect yourself. You're able to say, you know what? Even if the first time I try to actually be open and honest with my husband without being snarky and it still comes off a little snarky, it doesn't mean it's wrong. It means I'm trying. Even if there's moments where my anxiety and my anger take over, when my kids are not listening or they're doing things that, trigger me on the inside, I can always rebound. I can't get this wrong. When you have the mentality that you can't get this wrong, you take risk. And then you understand that, oh my gosh, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad in hindsight to talk to my husband about the in-laws. In hindsight, it wasn't that bad to slow down, get to my child's eye level and talk to them about why this behavior needs to stop and what new behavior they need to start. Maybe it felt uncomfortable. Maybe you didn't like the way it felt in your body when you were doing it, but you didn't die. You didn't live out what anxiety played out to you in your head. And you might be saying, well, Chasity, there are some things that I can get wrong. There are some things that I can mess up. And you're right. There are some things you can get wrong. And I agree with you. I'm human. You're human. There are going to be mistakes that we make. But the difference between making a mistake and living out being intentionally offensive and wrong in those relationships is your ability to repair. If you live out this understanding that when I make a mistake with my husband or my kids, or I live within my thoughts a little longer than I wanted to, or I'm starting to think about and fall into those old traps of overthinking every little thing or trying to prepare for every single little thing, if you're able to repair and say, I can't get this wrong, I can't stay in the wrong, I have a way of escape. I can repair. I can turn this around at any moment. So wherever you are, I just want you to lift your hands. I'm kidding. But I do want you to take this away from this episode. Perfectionism and anxiety is a liar, and it's trying to convince you that discomfort is always a risk. And on the other side of that risk, you won't be able to recover. You won't get it right. You'll be disconnected from your husband or your kids. You'll die alone. You'll be so misunderstood that it will be unbearable. But that is a lie. I invite you to take risk when it comes to managing your mind, reconnecting to what God says about you and his thoughts about you. Taking risk within your marriage, communicating, not just talking, but communicating with your husband what you actually need. Taking the risk of patience, long suffering, and actual discipleship when it comes to parenting your kids. The risk is always worth it when you have intention and your legacy in mind. If you need help with taking the risk, if you need help with saying, I can't get this wrong, you want to believe it, but right now it feels a little tough. There's one thing that I want you to do. I want you to take the quiz in the show notes. It's going to open your eyes about how anxiety and perfectionism is showing up for you right now. Those blind spots that maybe you haven't been able to put two pieces together, how that has all been working behind the scenes for you. You're going to take that further into a training that's going to dive deeper and help you not only understand, but give you 3 must-have strategies to overcoming anxiety as a high-achieving Christian wife and mom. Get started right now by taking the quiz in the show notes, and I'll see you in the next one.